Alright, hey guys, it's it's Monday. Just got off work. Have to go to the dentist, so I have a little bit longer to drive today than normal. But yeah, so gotta get a crown put on. Should be blast. So I did finish watching the number 399 of Owen Benjamin Live, and where he's talking about wizardry. And the first thing that I wanted to bring up is when he got mad about bringing up the Bible, and people just read Bible verses and he doesn't know them, so he feels like he's being attacked. Don't necessarily agree with that. Just because you don't know part of the Bible, just because somebody else is bringing it up, and that's not necessarily wizardry. I mean, I can see how people could use it as wizardry, and again, I'm not going to make the statement that people aren't using wizardry when they, but just because you can't just say that because somebody's quoting a part of the Bible that you've never heard that it's wizardry. They could be right. So I mean, at least give them the time of day. And I can see that Owen Benjamin is a pretty intelligent guy, has a high IQ. He claims he has 147, and I'm not going to debate whether he does or he doesn't, because I don't know. He says he does. I'm going to trust him until he gives me a reason to do otherwise. But I understand that aspect of things. But yeah, you just have to be careful in saying that people are twisting the Bible to whatever, when they could just be saying the truth. But they also could really be twisting the Bible, because I've seen that happen a bunch of times too, where people just take one Bible verse, or they'll cherry pick 5 Bible verses from across the Bible and take them all completely out of context to prove their point. Like, I could make the Bible say that it is okay to kill people. I could make it say that if I wanted to, but that's not what the Bible says in any stretch of the imagination ever. Other than when God told people to wipe out entire nations, which was for a purpose, and it's not generally what people think it was for. When he also brought up that Jews aren't trying to change or screw the whole world, I'm not sure that is 100% true either. I'm not a Jew hater. You can say whatever you want to, but I'm not entirely convinced that the people that say that they are Jews are actually of Israel. Like, I'm still doing research into that to figure that out, and the fact of the matter is, I'm not sure how that all pans out. But I'm just not entirely sure, because if these people that claim to be Jews aren't actually of Israel, then yeah, they are entirely trying to screw the entire world and to burn it to the ground, because they're jealous of humans. Because if the Jews, the Zionists that want to take over the world, if you will, if that is the group of people that I think that they are, and they're Nephilim, basically, that aren't giants anymore, but still have that bloodline, and they're just completely the sons of angel beings, and I 100% believe that can be proven. Not all Jews, again, I'm going to make that statement, not all Jews, but the Jews that want to claim Judaism so that they can screw everybody out of everything, those guys are the ones that I'm saying are quite possibly Nephilim, because they want to burn down and destroy everything. They want to destroy people. Their whole goal is to have 10% population, and I'm willing to bet that 10% population that will be left over is mostly going to be Nephilim bloodlines. Just throwing that out there. Just a theory that I'm working on, which was their goal from the beginning anyways, was to screw humanity out of the actual bloodline so that Christ could be born. But that's another whole argument. But I just wanted to say, I don't necessarily, but I have my own opinions on that. So when he played the clip of Hillary Clinton talking, and Donald Trump just calls her a nasty woman right there in her face, and she just can't process it, and messes up half her speech, and she just can't deal with it. And he just is calm as a cucumber. Well, it's because he spoke something true. It's not magic. It's just speaking truth. And Donald Trump does that. He just speaks the truth and lets it lie. And the problem is that people don't know how to deal with it. And like you said, people just walk in and they're like, are you just gonna walk in here and do this? Yes. People don't know how to deal with that. Like, it's just truth. You just say what's true. And I had this happen with a buddy recently where me and him sat down and had a conversation, and he's like, okay, well, what do you think the biggest thing I need to work on in my life is? And I'm like, you need to be merciful. And he's like, what? I'm like, you don't understand how I can see that in your life, but you need to learn mercy, like, because you're an angry person and you don't know how to give people mercy. And I'm like, this one thing is true about you. I don't want to speak as personal business, but I'll do this to anybody if you want me to. But this thing is true about you. So then, if this thing is true about you, then I'm guessing this is true about you. This is true about you. This is true about you, and this is true about you. And he's like, holy crap, how did you do that? And I'm like, because I know that this one thing about you is true, and based off of that assumption, I can guess the whole rest of your life clear back to when you were a kid. And he's like, dude, you're like a genius. I'm like, no, I just know how to watch people, and you give me one true fact about you, and I can tell you everything about you, because truth is not relative. Truth is truth. Like, it's based upon this, which is based upon this, which is based upon this. And it's just how people are built, and they stack up. It's not wizardry. It's not craziness. It's not I'm not a psychic. I used to play it off that way because I used to be a not great person. You can read, or not read, but you can go and watch all my videos about the person I used to be if you want to take the time to do that. But I used to be a not great person, and I used to use it to twist it to my own advantage. But I no longer do that because I've realized it about myself. So, again, it's just speaking truth. That's all he did. And it destroyed her because she doesn't know how to speak truth. She's reading from a script, and he just says the first true thing that comes into his brain, and it just destroys her. She has nothing else to say because she doesn't know how to speak truth. So, he said that asking rhetorical questions is leading people, and and it's always used for evil, and I'm not entirely sure that's true. I'm pretty sure you could ask rhetorical questions that lead people to the right answers, because you don't want them to come to your answer. You want them to come to the right answer. So you ask a rhetorical question that has an obvious answer. Or you could just give them the answer. I see the point in that, but rhetorical questions, I do think rhetoric has its place. It does, and it's funny when you ask a question and people are like, "What?" And it's like it's the most obvious answer in the world, and they're just like, "Huh? I don't get it." Like, it just, me, it's kind of funny. Maybe it's just because I'm not a good person. I don't have any idea. He did say, though, that he wants people to, like, cut his stuff up and, like, and comment on it. So I might do a few of those where he says something and I just, like, break it down and analyze it from that point of view. And I might even take a couple of his clips and actually just curse, like, beat the cursing out of it or whatever, because he does speak a lot of truth, and I really wish that he didn't curse so much, because I would let my kids listen to him, because he has a lot of wisdom and speaks a lot of truth about the world. And it's a reality that a lot of people need to wake up to, is the fact that the world is not going to coddle you at all. Like, it's not. It's an evil, evil place run by evil, evil beings, and it's not fun. So, it was funny, though, is when he was talking about Don Pettit and Neil Armstrong in episode 445. The biggest thing I hear in that, when he was talking about the moon landing, is the Hunger Games, when that dude is sitting there interviewing these people, and it's just so much BS, and you can see through it, like, so easily. Like, the interviewer's like, "So how do you feel about this?" And they're just like, "Well, I don't know, like, how am I supposed to feel about it?" And he's like, "Yeah, but really, like, tell me, how do you feel about it?" And it's like, I don't, like, I just don't want to be here. I don't want to go in the stadium and die. Like, that's how I feel as he's interviewing Neil Armstrong. He's like, "Oh, he's not a nerd, he's a pilot." No. I have friends that are pilots, and guess what? They're the biggest nerds you've ever met. They have to be a pilot. They're smart. They're not stupid people. These are smart people. Like, and they want to play off like Neil Armstrong is this, like, retard who can't remember his ass from a hole in the ground. But, like, you notice, like, halfway through that interview where he's interviewing Neil Armstrong, he suddenly switches from, like, yeah, the nerds and megabytes. Well, the space shuttle was 32 kilobytes, and we had a fixed memory of. Come on, man! You didn't just go from like retard central to, oh, I know all the things about the space shuttle because I memorized all these facts. No, you're smart, man. You were an astronaut. You were a pilot. Most of these pilots they came from military backgrounds or from really high positions of intelligence or authority to be in NASA. Like, you had to prove yourself to get into NASA. So these people are not morons. They were like the best of the best of the best, which might be like being king of the retards. I don't know how their testing went, but most of these special programs like NASA, you have to be like super intelligent to get into. So these people are not stupid. They're playing stupid because they know that they're lying, but they're not stupid in and of themselves. So the next thing that I was going to get to is, I don't remember why he was saying that, so I'm not going to comment on that. Oh, the other thing that is like, why exactly are people laughing during these interviews? Like, he's not saying anything funny. Like, that's the other thing that reminded me of the Hunger Games, is he's like, there's no such thing as gigabytes, like you computer nerds. Like, everybody's like, what is funny about that? Like, he's not saying anything. Like, they just keep laughing, and I'm like, he's not saying anything funny. Like, why is this funny to you? I don't understand what is funny here. Like, I don't get it. Like, they're all just laughing at this astronaut. He's not saying anything funny. Like, the news anchor's leading him on and acting all peppy and cheerful, and Armstrong's just like, I'm a retard. And all these people are laughing, and I'm like, and Neil Armstrong doesn't think anything about this, and he's just like, he's not like sad that people are laughing at him. He's just like mumbling words, and like all of a sudden his brain like locked, like it's like MK Ultra stuff or something. Like, he can only get emotional about the stuff that he can actually remember, and like his brain like latched onto one little thing, and he's like, oh my gosh, I remembered something. I get numbers. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's nothing funny. Like, everybody's laughing, and I'm just like, maybe I'm just immune to social programming or something, but I'm like, this isn't, I mean, it's hysterical in the fact that like it's a complete joke. Like, I can see through it. Like, it's just stupid. But like, he's not actually saying anything funny, and he's not joking. Like, he's actually trying to be serious in this, and like, people are just laughing at him because he just is such, he's like tripping over his words, and it's sad to me. It's not funny. And yeah, so, and then he went into talking about money and debt, like owning property, etc. Like, people don't teach that to their kids, and that's 100% true. Like, if you looked at the world in a slightly different way, and you didn't go into debt for everything that you own, like, you would have so much financial freedom that it would be crazy. It's a reality. Like, we don't talk about money and debt with our kids because, I mean, in all honesty, we're ashamed of our debt, and we don't want to. Like, I don't have any problem admitting that I have debt. I'm struggling really hard to get out of debt right now because I do want to be in a living off-grid, like, not relying on other people to, you know, I don't want to be a slave to the system anymore. I want to be out of it, but I'm going to do it right and get out of debt first, finish building my house and sell it, and then move off into property where I can. So I'm going to do that eventually, but I'm not there yet. So yeah, but if we teach that to our kids early, they'll be more successful in life. They'll have more success. They'll be able to do the things that they need to do and not be burdened like we are with student loans and everything else, because we'll teach them the right way to do things. And hopefully by that point I can teach them an actual skill and a trade and have them, you know, be successful. So, and also the whole gray man thing that he brought up, I'm appreciative of that. I'll just say that much. I like not sticking out in a crowd, and it is a learned skill, especially for someone that is popular, to blend in. So you should learn that, because the less high profile you are in the coming days, probably the better off you are. So, like, in the whole UFC thing, I'm not a big UFC fan, never have been. Just never really did it for me. Like, I'm just not into it, not into fighting. I did Kung Fu for like 6 weeks one time in high school. I liked it, didn't have the money to keep doing it, so I didn't. Plus, I just, I would love to do it. I don't know, I don't have the time. I never did, and I want to get my kids into it, and I want to get into it myself. But the fact of the matter is I just never have, and I just don't have any other real desire to watch other people fight either. So, I'm going to try not to get into an accident and die here. That would be tragic, or maybe some of you would like it if I did that, but that's fine, whatever. But yeah, so when you brought up UFC and you have so many people freak out, it's because you're attacking their idol, man. Like, that's what it comes down to with the whole UFC thing. Like, they're afraid of someone condemning their idol or pointing out the fact that it might be homo that these dudes are wrestling around with each other and kicking each other and, in short shorts and no shirts. Like, that's the part to me that doesn't make any sense. Like, you could wrestle in clothes, you could do UFC in loose clothes. Like, it's more realistic anyways of an actual fight that you're going to get into. And that's one of the things that when I did take the short little bit of Kung Fu that I did take, that they said is like, do we have to wear uniforms or something to come here and fight? And he's like, no, you wear your clothes because that's what you're going to be in when you get in a fight. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. So, it's an idol. If you're afraid to lose it, if you're afraid that it's something that you're like, oh my gosh, this can't be real, I can't lose this in my life, I can't deal with not having this, it's an idol. That's all it is. It's just an idol. And if you're afraid to lose it, it's an idol. If it's your money, if it's UFC, if it's cake, I don't care what it is. If it's something that you are afraid to lose in your life, it's an idol. It just is. And the only thing that should be in that spot in your life is God. And I'm not going to say that I don't have idols. That would be hypocritical, because I'm in my position, my family is my idol. Like, I love my family, and I'm terrified to lose my family, which is a horrible thing. I shouldn't feel that way. I should trust God with my family. But I still am terrified of losing my family. It's just an idol of mine. Like, just it is. And I don't know. Like, with the whole... I know with the whole, like, the media outlet thing, like, when he's in the interview with the guy from England, can't remember his name off the top of my head, a huge supporter. Like, I love I'm trying to remember that guy's name, with that guy, and he says, like, the guy's talking about how the BBC is, like, all these pedophile people, and it just proves that all this media stuff is all run by the same people. It's the people that I was talking about at the beginning, who are the top, are all sodomite, children blood drinking, gross Nephilim. That's what they do. Like, that's all they know, is how to be gross and rule the world. That's all they do. So, what do I want to talk about now? Oh yeah, the Britain thing where he said Britain has a media block. Everybody has a media block, man. That editor, when that reporter brought him the story, the editor was like, yeah, I'm not running that. I'll lose my job, man. Like, the minute they catch wind that I'm against this, or that you're exposing this, and that I let it run, guess whose job it is? Not only are you going to lose your job and probably get killed, but I'm going to lose my job as well, and I'm not willing to sacrifice my beef for truth. Like, that's my income. That's why pastors do this stuff. Pastors are not willing to come out and speak out against this stuff happening in their congregation. They want to bury it all, because they know if it comes out that they lose their jobs. That's why they're afraid to come out against stuff in the church that's wrong, like against hypocrisy, against church members that are doing things wrong, or against elders or leaders in churches that do things wrong. It's the same thing. They're afraid of losing their income. And when you're ruled by your income, they can control you. It's just the way it works. Oh, I'm just going to expose you then. Like, the fact that you covered all this stuff up, and then you're going to lose your job. So guess what? They're not going to say anything. They're just going to shut their mouths, and they're going to do their job, and they're going to say whatever people tell them to say, which is why one of the hugest reasons that I disagree with the modern day church. They are big fat
and it's just stupid, and I hate it. Like, I'm not afraid to come out and say that I'm against it because of that reason. You are controlled by other people and their finances. You are able to be controlled. I mean, it's just the way it is. So that's the reason that that editor wouldn't run that story, because he knows he's going to lose his job and he's willing to go where the money is. Oh, and Judeo-Christian values, that term doesn't come from Jews. It just means that Judaism led into Christendom, and it's just before it was converted by modern Christianity. Judaism and Christendom were kind of the same thing, because Jews turned into Christians and still followed Jewish traditions, which, I mean, back then, again, it was Israeli. It's not Jewish because it's not Jewish. Because Judaism and Christianity were so parallel back in the day that they blended into one another, and then Christendom kind of profaned it and went off in their own direction. So, oh, and on the topic of BJs and where that all came from, it was not a Jew thing that started in the 1930s. The BJs were mentioned in the Bible, in the Old Testament, in the Song of Solomon. You can go look it up. It's poetry, but it's there. It's a very, very, very graphic book, and it was in the Bible. So, as a beautiful thing, by the way. So, you can say whatever you want to. That's where, it's in there. So, it's probably been around since the beginning of time. I'm not going to say that it's not sodomy. I don't know. Don't really care. Doesn't matter to me. But the fact of the matter is it's in the Bible. So, there you go. Secondly, don't mean to spoiler, so if you don't want to know about the second half of the Lego movie, you should probably turn this off here and stop listening, because I'm probably going to spoil some stuff. So, when you get your eyes open to the truth of things, you start to see things a little bit differently. And I went and watched this movie, and I kept trying to figure out, I'm like, oh, here, but I'm not really, there it is. That's the point they're trying to make. It was like, the bad guys are the good guys, and the good guys really wanted to be friends with the bad guys have really wanted to be friends with the good guys the whole time. And we've been trying to tell you that we're not the bad guys. They're the bad guys. Who's the bad guys? Oh yeah, us, ourselves. We're the bad guys. We're the bad guys because we don't want to play with the other toys. Like, and it was just like it was so sneaky the way they did it too. It was so subversive because, oh my goodness, it was so bad. It was just, the characters was like, oh my gosh. And then it's like, you're really the enemy. And he's like, no, you would never be like this. I can't believe this. And it was about people breaking out of the narrative and taking a stand. And all of a sudden the narrative's flipped, and it's like, no, now you're the bad guy because you stood out and took a stand, and now you're just spewing all this hate. And it's like, no, he's still the good guy because he's breaking it was just like the whole thing was just flipped, and I was like so sad, and I could see how it was like this whole like evilism, like, and it was just from that point on, I just like I couldn't get any enjoyment out of it. It was just it just drove me crazy. So, my kids enjoyed it. They thought it was funny and great, and we went out for some Chinese food afterwards, and it was also great and tasted fine. But, like, the whole message of the movie to me, like, was just, like, the whole evil is good, good is evil thing. And it was just, like, flip the script, and, like, it's just brain conditioning for people. Like, and your kids, too, as they watch it, and they're like, oh, the good guys and the bad guys now. And the bad guys were always good guys, and they just wanted to have fun and play with everybody. And like now that because of all the lying and the subversion, now we don't know what's going on. Like, so it was so sad, and I just didn't. It was just disappointing. I didn't really care for it, but yeah, so I ruined that for anybody. I don't really. You're gonna go see it anyways, probably, but I'm trying not to ruin too much of the plot. But it was just, you'll see it if you go watch it. It's just sad. It's like so subversive. in the way that they just like get you into it, and you're like, wait, what's going on here? Like, and then the good is evil, evil is good. It's just this kind of stuff bothers me, because then it's like I can see now where they're like, oh, these guys, they see us for what we are, but now we're gonna make them look crazy because they don't want to assimilate to the mainstream. And it's like, no, I'm not gonna assimilate to the mainstream, because I can see that you all are liars, and I'm not gonna cave to your stupid way of thinking. I'm just not gonna do it. And then it's like, no, you're a bigot. And it's like, no, I'm not a bigot. Like, you are lying to people and manipulating the truth. Like, yeah, you just hate everyone. You're just a hater. Like, no, I'm not a hater. Like, I just call truth where I see it, and you're lying. It's just what it is. And you're trying to use these half-truths and white lies to try to convince me that, well, your way is true. And it's just not going to work, because I have a basis for truth, which is God's word. So, anyways, like, share, and subscribe if you feel led to. If you don't do it. But yeah, so if you're led to do that, go ahead. I will talk to you guys later. I am out.